I'm Sarah Young, and this is my reflective presentation for the MA in Photography at Falmouth University. I grew up on a farm in the South Hams, where much of my time was spent observing and documenting nature, using a 35mm film camera with varying levels of success. Observing changes in the natural environment and the intimate behaviour of the inhabiting wildlife nurtured a long-lasting passion for supporting the world around me. In 2002, our family farm was sold for development, and the need to document my surroundings took on a stronger sense of importance, as this childhood haven as I knew it would be no more. At this time, my photography became a fundamental tool for me to create a permanent record of this special place that I'd spent hours exploring as a child. Photography is a way of feeling, of touching, of loving. What you've caught on film is captured forever. It remembers little things long after you've forgotten everything. Much of my career has been focused on commercial photography, managing social media and content creation for a range of clients. This has seen me produce content for a Jaguar Land Rover dealership, real estate, and our own business selling vintage tractors. I've also submitted my work to a popular stock library, taking on briefs that would test my skills and technical ability, aiding me to develop my photographic practice. As with many, the command to stay at home in 2020 led to a period of reflection. We are fortunate to live on a 300-acre farm managed by my husband and father-in-law. Never had I felt more grateful for the freedom this space allowed. I've always been passionate about providing areas for wildlife to thrive on our farm, and during this time, I committed to taking my camera out every day, embracing this enforced slower pace of life to observe the wildlife that was taking up residence. Wildlife that was frequently overlooked as I busied myself in everyday life. During this period of reflection, I was able to reignite my passion for photographing the natural world. I was also reminded of the beneficial properties of connecting with nature and the mindfulness involved in making authentic observations in search of that final image. I have always believed that any work of art should stem from genuine feelings and understandings. I need to be touched emotionally to come up with meaningful works. My awareness of conservation has led me towards the work of Sebastian Salgado, who uses strong composition and striking black and white imagery to dramatic effect. He quotes, "I try with my pictures to raise a question, to provoke a debate so we can discuss problems together and come up with solutions." I am also drawn to the work of Nick Brandt, who creates captivating images that highlight the consequences of environmental devastation. I found his 2015 project Inherit the Dust deeply impactful. The methodology was clear and extremely powerful. A series of animal portraits installed as life-size panels were placed in areas of urban wasteland, areas that would have once been inhabited by these animals. It highlights both the social and environmental crisis facing us today and incites change. If we continue to do nothing, future generations will be inheriting the sad remnants of a once vibrant living planet. They will be inheriting dust. Wartime Britain led to a huge shift in our farming practice. In a bid to become self-sufficient, the Plough Up campaign of 1918 encouraged farmers to use every space available for growing potatoes and grain. This led to the widespread destruction of wild meadows and scrubland that would have previously been termed unproductive. These intense practices have continued and even intensified further under the pressure of modern-day farming, and with an ever-increasing population, there's more pressure than ever for farmers to reap the most from the land. Further change came post-war, with rapid mechanical advancements. These innovations were warmly welcomed, and this 1950s copy of Power Farmer portrays the excitement with which these advances were received, declaring that one man can dig the muck out of the yard. He can lift, carry and load single-handed, with claims to save time, labour and money. I am captivated by the history of our farming practice, the nostalgic image of picnic teas and communities gathering to bring in the harvest on long summer days. James Trevelyan specialised in documenting rural life during the 1970s to 1990s. Much of his work was produced within a 10-mile radius of his home in North Devon, which allowed him to build strong relationships with his subjects. The resulting images record intimate, candid moments that capture the essence of country life. I draw influence from author Isabella Tree in her book Wilding, which documents the controversial decision by her and her husband to hand back their 3,500-acre estate back to nature with minimal human intervention. The Knepp estate is now home to a multitude of rare species such as turtle doves, storks, and purple emperor butterflies. We have 2 decades of evidence to back a simple, powerful fact: when given space, nature bounces back. Whilst rewilding on this scale is clearly unviable for most working farms, I've observed firsthand the positive effects of small changes within our own farming practice. I'd like to document these outcomes as a way of inspiring change, demonstrating that there's still space for wildlife on a productive farm. According to a survey conducted in 2022 by the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, UK agriculture currently provides half of the food we eat, with 71% of the UK's land managed by farmers. With land management on this scale, there is huge potential to safeguard our natural environment and allow nature space to breathe by working to support our farmers. I've recently been introduced to the work of Susan Sontag, whose thoughts on photography lead me to question my own practice. So successful has been the camera's role in beautifying the world that often photographs rather than the world have become the standard of the beautiful. This quote resonated with me, particularly with regards to the over-manipulation of an image, which has the aptitude to further detach the viewer from the actuality of a scene. I'm planning a documentary-style project which is representative of our working farmland. I plan to launch my research project on a small area of our farm which is currently under high-level stewardship. Observing and documenting the flora and fauna which thrive in this territory, I find this self-imposed restriction provides an element of creative restraint and often leads to more profound observations. I intend to collaborate with organisations such as DEFRA and the Wildlife Trust, who are already actively supporting farmers to make these changes, and find out how I can best support them through my work. My initial images, taken in the winter months, have forced me to look closer, as on the surface nature lays dormant. However, the use of macro photography to discover worlds beneath worlds served to highlight the complexities of our natural world, how we are interlinked and dependent on nature for survival. I would like to experiment with mediums beyond photography, which could support a more immersive experience. Marlene Creets is an artist who combines hybrid processes such as poetry, memory mapping, and storytelling to explore the relationship between human experience and the land. I would like to experiment with methods such as cyanotypes and botanical castings, which could be used to support my photographic practice by introducing a tactile medium, helping to bridge the loss of connection many people currently have with the natural world. I also plan to look beyond photography and investigate paintings and sculptures as a source of inspiration, with an emphasis on the use of natural materials. Due to the nature of my assignment, I feel it's important for me to consider the environmental impact of my project carefully, taking into account the ecological effect of the methods and processes I choose to undertake, and eventually how I choose to present my final major project.